Tired Out Toby. Toby is an old steam train that you can find on the island of Sodor. He has a faithful host named Henrietta. And like Thomas, Rosie, Percy, Edward, and the rest of the engines, Toby is one of the kindest engines on the island of Sodor. And even though Toby is getting old, the other engines and the top of hat thinks that Toby really is working in good order. Well, as for the rest of the engines, like Gordon, they're not sure. And one night, Gordon was feeling jealous of Toby because he thinks that he is not really useful anymore. "Oh, little Toby," said Gordon, "when will you learn? Us bigger engines can do bigger things. You know, we might not be as kind like Edward, but we can do work that is most fast and more important than ever." "Yes," said James, "even the splendidest engine like me can do all the work by faster pace." All the other engines, especially Duck and Diesel, heard what Gordon had just said, and they decided to spoke up. "Now, Gordon," said Rosie, "what did Toby ever do to you?" "Well, like Edward here, he helped me on my own hill not a few years ago, a long time ago." "And," said Edward, "don't forget about that time where I almost didn't want to help you up this hill." "Well, that's different," said Gordon. "I am still a ply of the express line." Whatever," said Thomas. "Toby may be old, but he can still get the job done as like the top had told him, and us engines. And James, what did Toby ever do to you?" "Well," said James, "he didn't actually did nothing, but I had to push Toby and my coaches to the next station. But that was back in the 90s, if you get by me." "Well, oh yes, I remember that." "But you don't get it. Us engines works really quick and nice, it's other than like old Toby here." That made Toby feel very sad. That made the other engines cross, but didn't want to say a word. And what does James know?" said Duck. Toby may be old, but he still gets the job done as the top hat gave him." "Yes," said Thomas, "and Toby is our friend." "Don't worry, Toby, we got your back." But Toby didn't think so. He think that he is not really useful anymore. The next morning, all the engines were awake, except Gordon and James. They were still sleeping. But Percy arrived at Sir Topham Hatt. "All right," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Percy asked me to take me by here, so what's the meaning of this?" "Well, sir," said Duck, "last night Gordon and James were saying rude remarks to Toby, and I think that the two of them need to be taught a lesson." "I agree," said Edward, "and I want to see what Toby can do and stuff. So can you help us, sir?" "Well, I guess if Toby wants to teach Gordon and James a lesson, then I guess that's settled then. Toby, you may be old, but you're still my engine. And engines, well, actually my engines don't get scrapped. They get the work done, and I appreciate that." Soon, all the engines smiled at Toby. Toby was ready to get Gordon and James back. While the engines were getting ready, Duck was shunting Gordon's train. And instead of pulling his express train, Sir Topham had to ask Henry to pull it. "All right, that should be it." "I bet Gordon will spooks that way he sees this." "Yep, I agree, Rosie," said Thomas. "Oh, there he comes now." "Stupid goods train," said Gordon. "I don't even want to pull this train. I gotta pull Clean Express coaches. Well, said Duck, you gotta pull them anyway. And plus, you gotta be cautious with the goods trains and stuff like that. Oh, please, said Gordon. I've been on this road for a many long time. I know how to handle trains like this. Goodbye. Gordon rushed out. Not even a thank you, said Thomas and Rosie, all said at the same time. This took us a lot of work. Then James arrived. All right, I'm here now. Hurry up and shut with my coaches. I don't think so, James, said Stanley. So Tom had told us to tell you that you gotta pull a coal card. What? Coal trucks? And Thomas shut to James's train. And when the guards whistle blew, James set off. Goodbye, James, said one of the engines. Don't let your paintwork get all cold on you like a few years ago. Rubbish. Oh, they will be in trouble now, said Thomas. A few minutes later, the rest of the engines arrived to see the scene of Gordon. Gordon was raced along with this goods train. When I'm done getting this train delivered, I'm going back to the foreign coaches. When Gordon went up his hill, he soon getting slower and slower and stopped. No, I gotta go on, said Gordon. Come on, trucks, let's go. Gordon still kept going on, but his wheels spun and then stopped. Oh, the indignity! Thomas, Edward, Rosie, Stanley, and Duck all laughed. Oh my God, it was so funny. How do you like getting stuck on your own hill, Gordon? Gordon didn't say a word. Soon, Edward heard James's whistle. I think he's coming this way, he said, Edward. Let's take a scene of James. And then the engines backed up to see the scene of him. James was going at his fast speed and almost fell off the track. When James realized he was going too fast, he screeched to a stop. And as he did so, coal flew everywhere and all over James' splendid paintwork. Oh, drat, said James. Now I'm covered in coal. My paintwork. When the engines all saw this, they was burst out laughing. That, said Thomas, is what you get for speaking things about Toby. Speaking of Toby, said Rosie, where's he at? From what I heard, said Duck, so Tom had told Toby that he doesn't have any work to do today. So I'm guessing that he is telling Toby that he wanted to help James and Gordon up with the rest of their goods trains. And as a matter of fact, here he comes now. Toby had to collect James to take the coal to the coaling plant and take him to the washdown to be washed. And what did you say, Toby? Oh, my paintwork. Sorry? Oh, I meant, thank you, Toby. Thank you. You may be old, but you'll get the job done. Thanks, James, said Toby. I really like to hear that. There you go, Toby, said Thomas. Good job of taking James to the rest of the way. Now you have to take Gordon and push Gordon so he can deliver his goods trains. I'm on it, Thomas, said Toby. and Toby pushed as hard as ever he could. Soon the train was moving. Toby pushed with all his might. And while he was doing that, the truck started to cause some trouble. And it had to bump backwards and forwards. Hold back, they said. Come on, you trucks. I'm gonna take you to your destinations. And like magic, Toby pushed Gordon so hard that he raced down a hill. Gordon zoomed to the next hill, and he was out of sight. Thomas and the rest of the engines all cheered for Toby. They think that Toby had done a great job. Oh, and Toby, said Thomas, I think you got one more thing for Gordon. Toby heard. Thank you, Toby, said Gordon. I am sorry I was rude to you. You really are a good and useful tram engine. Toby soon smiled. The other engines agreed that Toby is a really nice tram engine. And even when he was pulling Henrietta, Toby will also tell her stories about when he had to push Gordon and James to their destinations. Toby feels like that he is a nice tram engine indeed.
Thomas is puffing through the countryside. He is on his way to Knapford Yard. But Thomas stops puffing. He has run out of coal. Now what is Thomas going to do? Here comes Edward. I wonder if he can help. Edward asks his fireman to give Thomas some of his coal. Edward is sharing his coal with Thomas. Now they both have some coal. And Thomas can puff all the way to Knapford Yard. Edward is chuffing cheerfully through the countryside. But what's this? Edward has to stop. He has run out of water. But here comes Henry. Henry has lots of water. Henry shares his water with Edward. Now they both have some water. And Edward can finish his journey. Henry is puffing into the yard. He is ready to collect a special delivery. But there are too many freight cars for Henry to pull. Thomas and Edward only have a few freight cars. Henry shares his freight cars with Thomas and Edward. Thomas, Edward, and Henry all share. It makes them happy and gets the job done.